Hello, hello. All right, now we are ready to begin. Welcome to another edition of the... Hello, Sam. How are you? I'm doing great, thanks. Another edition of the 2016 CU-Boulder MFA Showcase. Give it up. 2 more weeks, and then we'll have a bonus reading, which I'll tell you about later. But tonight, so excited to have Stephanie Couey. But before that, Jonina Diele, her former student, will get us started. So give it up for Jo.
This is a little low. Sorry. No, it's fine. Okay. So I'll just get started with the poems. This first poem is inspired by Amiri Baraka, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. He's been a big inspiration to me. So this is called We Want It All. If you don't like it, what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? Sit back and wait, tables at some shitty diner in Queens, and hope and pray that someone will rise above. Malcolm reborn, rise from ash and angst at the steps backward, and back in bloody pulp from beaten spirits, beaten by blanched bourgeoisie and the ignorance of the systemic, the institutionalized, the foundation of a people that lies on the backs of others. Push down, we just push down and think that if we crawl back up an inch of the mile, then we're back at the top. But you don't like it? What you gonna do about it? Bounce between the lines, not sure which to cross, because where's your place? An advocate, an activist, and a voice? A voice. To be heard and feared and respected and to change. What you gonna do about it? Pull from the past, pull the progress, pull Malcolm and Martin and Baraka and Lord from Michael and Eric and Tamir and Trayvon and counting. Radicalism, all humans. Sankofa, look back and walk forward. Do something about it. Alright, this next one is called Worn. Walking a campus can be an exhausting thing. Not in the sense that you're out of shape and an excess of concrete gives you shin splints, but rather that your mind is the one racing. Walking briskly through trails of to-dos and treks of what-ifs, catching the eyes of a stranger, maybe not so strange. Maybe you see them there, at the same creeping crack in the sidewalk each Tuesday, or maybe Thursday, at 7 minutes to 2. You wonder where they're going, and if someone loves them there. If they listen to A Tribe Called Quest, and if the hole in their sneaker makes their big toe wonder why the world is so cold. You want to know them. Their ins and outs and ups and downs. You want those eyes that caught you to be the ones that capture you from underneath. Those hands on the small of your back as D'Angelo serenades your soul in the background. You want them to contour your curves. Sprinkle secrets along your silhouette. To know the body the way you wish a man knew your mind. You want to be wanted. Wanted like the wear on the spine of your favorite book, the spine that gives out as you give in, the book with wrinkled pages, torn with twists and tears and trips on text, letting us know it's been loved. So here I stand, hunched over so, craving comfort and company and complexity and wondering how it would feel with you next to me. Woo. All right. This one is called 22. You woke up in my bed, I could tell you were dreaming. By the way your fingers twitched slightly and a smile graced upon your face as you tossed from your side of the bed and rolled onto mine. Sitting at my desk for hours, I drink in that smile of yours with my black coffee and feel it pour down into my chest. I wake you with a kiss. You say you've dreamed of me, that I was a poem. I dream too. To weave in between your lines, my lips the point of your pen and blood its ink. I dream to be the words you ache for your heart, 22 beats across the page, curving across your corrugation, filling your bones with the love you wish to share, the love I will keep on my own pages. All right, this next one is Millennial. I saw my peers fall deeper into their phone screen and further from reality. I saw them swimming through tweets and posts and pics, diving into a technological dream. I saw them swiping through hopes and dreams and future, only stopping for a look at the past. I saw their hopes triple down the cord, swallowed by an outlet, chewed up and spit back out as energy. I saw their dreams dwindle with the click of a letter aspiration, shifting into a desire for likes. I saw their future fall into a web of tangled identities and twisted views of who to be, what to be, where to be. I saw their future fall into a screen and land somewhere between maps and messages. Alright, this next one is Ode to Hip Hop. I still remember the first hip hop song I ever loved. The story's so foreign, but still seemed to fit like a glove. Just 12 years old, riding in my mom's red minivan, backpack on the seat, Happy Meal in my hand. It would play on the way home from school every day. Every time I heard that beat, my body'd start to sway. But more importantly, the lyrics had my young mind going crazy. The lives of 3 poor girls had my life seeming so breezy. Lisa, Nicole, and Erica, they were all around my age. And just hearing what they were going through filled my young heart up with rage. And then Mary would start singing about that runaway love. And that's when I knew my privilege was something I had to make the most of. Because before I even knew the depth of injustice that exists, hip-hop taught me the many forms of hatred that persist, and the many I'm immune to because of my skin tone, a knowledge I work to stay true to now that I'm grown. Because I believe in hip-hop and its power for the people, and its effort to create a world where equal really means equal. Because in the midst of the misperceptions of violence and misogyny lies a movement of expression and empowerment for so many. People who've been pushed down, censored, and silenced, the arts allowed them to speak up in a way that's so timeless. I guess I realized this as a youngin', and it'll be in my heart forever. Because when it comes to hip-hop, there's nothing I'll love better. Alright, this one is 9/15, September 15th. Crumbled leaves die beneath my heels. I tumble in words and lines. Rusted corners of the forest crawl up behind me. I can feel their shadow. I want to grab it and tuck it away in my limp, bald pocket so I can pull it out in summertime to roll through the grass with me. Maybe my new shadow friend will slip between my fingers for comfort. I've always wanted those places filled. Okay, this next one is my last one, and it is called Junkyard. The way you say Erykah Badu makes me feel like I could love you. The words falling off your lips like the sweet cracking of vinyl, they're strangely nostalgic in that, too. How I'm missing something I never even knew at all. And in many ways it's childish, but in many ways I'm still a child, staring at the 11:11 on the screen and wondering if I should wish for you, and wondering if I should wish for you to wish for me too, and then being mad that I need to wish, and being mad that I'm stuck on one kiss, and being sick of wondering if there will ever be a two. My mind is becoming a junkyard, with blistering scraps of what-ifs, rusted bits of fantasies I've stacked carefully to build a myth, just to tear it down again, demolished and destroyed in my mind, a formula I've fallen victim to, drowning in the parts that feel right. But I guess love has that quality, much like a shitty coffee. It sits on my tongue with a certain astringency. I acknowledge the thirst, but it doesn't stop me from sipping it down like a gentle poison, the kind that kills slowly. In a twisted way, I found joy in it, in the way that it keeps me rolling. It's a subtle form of addiction, obsession, maybe, at best. At least that's what I tell myself, to put my mind at rest. So, now to the reason that all of you people have come here, for the wonderful Stephanie. When Stephanie asked me to open for her tonight, I was immediately shocked, honored, and terrified. I've never done an official reading of my poetry before, but I couldn't be happier about this one being the first. I first met Stephanie in the fall of 2014 as a stumbling and confused sophomore, unsure of what path I was going to take. I was lucky enough to have her for my Intro to Creative Writing class, and within the first few days of it, I was in love. In love not only with the expression of writing, but with the unapologetic passion that Stephanie brings to her craft and to her students. I found myself building my entire schedule for the next semester around her first level poetry class, and I couldn't be happier that I did. Over the year I spent learning from Stephanie, I found a new purpose for myself. I went from a timid, average writer with no confidence in my work to someone she finds worthy of introducing her at such an important time, and to someone who finally feels comfortable calling themselves a poet. Even this year, when I don't have the glorious luxury of seeing her multiple times a week, her influence and inspiration is very present in my life. Every time I questioned the validity of my work, she assured me it was there. Every time I got too comfortable, she pushed me further. And every time I wonder if I'm on the right path, she's been there to let me know I'm exactly where I should be. Poetry has become a channel for me to both express and define myself, and I owe that luxury entirely to Stephanie. So, this opportunity is entirely bittersweet. Stephanie, you've been a mentor, a role model, an inspiration, a friend, and so much more not only to me, but to so many people who have been blessed to know you during your time in Boulder. While I'm somewhat in denial that this time has come to an end, I'm so looking forward to your next adventure in the new, beautiful ways that you're going to leave your mark on this world. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Miss Stephanie Couey.
Holy crap, that was so sweet, oh my god. And that was a way better introduction. So I gave an introduction to Lisa Robertson a couple weeks ago, who's this amazing poet who I've been reading for like years and years and years. And your introduction was way better than what I was able to write for her. So, and yeah, and just thank you all so much for this opportunity, and thank you, Rushi, for organizing this. This is incredible work that you're doing. Thank you, Joe, so much for, this is my, my last semester teaching as a graduate student teacher for, for the time. And someone who's really left a mark on me, both as a teacher and just as a person and as a poet, has been Joe. And her combination of just passion for like things that are both outside of her and then also like very much rooted within her, like love and yourself, and then merging that with like the love that you have for your fellow human being and societal issues and what have you. And I really respect it, and I tried to encourage it, mostly because selfishly I wanted to see it. I was always like, more, show me more. So I should stop talking about that. I'm also really, really excited because I have a professor here from my undergraduate degree who's really influential in all ways. We studied Melville together. His name is Doc Olson Smith, and he is amongst us somewhere. So, yes, thank you. Sorry, I had to pop my ears. So these are thesis poems, because what else could I possibly be working on right now? And I will, kind of just like forewarn you just a little bit. These are really sexual poems, and in a way which is kind of darker and potentially more like emphasis on like traumatic type things, but there are also baby seals, so it'll be fine. Okay. Okay. Is this okay? Am I too quiet?
No. You're great.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. From a residence. It follows me here, even here. Lets go of synced up water and lets every bit of unrooted mercy, hunger, claim itself as scalded. A test, I know there is no such thing as a test. Only open itches upon those scales, coy and clawing, irradiant and fierce. When I could be straddling 15. You know you could be straddling 15, his voice just rattling heat, and these guts lie open the longer they lie. They learn to speak, to repeat what I've known. You are a juicy cavern, a conspiracy of need. Seedy. Let's do something seedy, he says, like pull back the petals of an orchid even younger than you. When we do it slow and I come open, even though she is the one we are opening. She is all juicy heart, wholly grown, and battling cave of cuts all in one, and I am only a cavity of skin. He says, see how she's only partially swallowed at the center, see how she's all limber cord lipping into a core, unable to make anything but newness and pink light? See how she's all thread and no brine, no drips. See how she is all of these unrusted densities, all of these unsoured bits of thirst. Are you watching, little seal? A choice. When given the choice of where, I choose the light and dry shore to be sliced into. This way I am not caught between knowings or unhushed rattlings of stillness, also dazed and daffy as the beheaded snake whose mouth still moves, a tough-cut wedge of tongue, an electric sort of dead. Cover. I am open leaves of skin or a bad heart on my tattoo. It's a heart I see juicy and white, delicate and somewhere close. It's an ongoing joke, this pale, this being called and treated to the sweets and jokes of half-weighted seals, cuts limber and far away, crossed unspeakable by legs. This being beautiful sometimes, but here are the scratches I can show you if I am allowed to be woken. If trapped were emotion, how would it move and where could its limbs fold? It's like getting really sexual now. Sorry. Students, hello. Oh God. Paid out. Spreading my legs will not feed a city, but it will find me an emergency. In fresh snow, the peroxide pours into an openness, and I coo. A broken toy that can retract from every barbed body's argument, every blank, and write from the space of form or a gas station wine carton, spent on rattling nerve when really it's all just a body. I've known that always, but have found another to push inside a coin or tempestuous diamond, because I am a cavern of tempers, and you are a word slung over my back. This one writes his way through my skin in taps, nestles my body into a brown leather loafer, wet smells of rummy cocoa and beer and old movie urge, and it's too wet, this skin, it's wet, too wet, it knows this skin knows itself better in the desert at the heel of a groan, at the merging irradiance of bone. He is what turns you into a diametric holding, firmer than concrete and subtle as a vacuum. Your chest is a dented tin, he tells you, admits only eventually that he is a heat-hungry placemat of a man, and you are the reptile cut by voice that folds at the core, and he says, I drive your delicate wrists like a car I used to own. Oh, these are so dark. Oh my gosh. Okay. I let it happen. I let it happen the same way I would let a friend eat off my plate. It's easier than saying no, and he seems so sure. He tells me to kiss my own elbow. I try, but it's covered in sealskin. I try, but I vomit black oil into pulpy snow. That might have been perfect, he says. I open my mouth, ask if he's ever tried to commit suicide in the mall or in the presence of an actual angel. He calls me darling, and says, if it makes you more comfortable, I have. Now try again. From the part where you tried to scream over the valley and your voice became a drain. Resist. I curl open blue pedaling back toward home, and I want to go home. To make someone else scream farther in this pageant of blindness, creamy and led by arrhythmic chords when I need them the least. Those yellow lantern chests of girls, I could have had one myself, but instead I fold their sounds like a kind light. I stop twice for you and breathe your skin. The way it suffers in this way we suffer like the earliest age, where losses are wrinkled, and confused not with love, but with thirst. We clench and I clench our teeth, which are all just me, and I resist the stillness which writes us smaller. Do people talk in between these things? Like, do you kind of like say stuff at all. Like, because I know like Ruth Ellen keeps like always says like you can't stand next to your book and be like, just so you know, this is like what that's supposed to mean. Like, but I kind of want to do that.
Do it. Go for it.
Yeah, as I was writing these, a lot of like really strange things involving like seals and like fish and like oil spills were kind of coming out. Never mind. I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, cool. This one's called One of the Nightmares in the Sink. I wait in line to be owned and wrapped in paper. It's a line of fish nipping each other's scales in quick, subtle throws, and I promise I won't eat them, that I'm here only to be stroked and cleaned and lit in the way being bought can light us. A candle-powered boat sails past. Its steam is laced to our noses like hot tea. My mother, she floats and gasps this dream dry, realizes she'd birthed an oiled, wet animal, who I do confess has devoured the hearts of her dad and siblings. Oh, her dad, in a 4.5-minute video made public. She tries to talk me into sturdy and clean breaths, like the volume of what she knows to be right, but I must now get back in line. Littlest downpour. Limber little acrobat tongue, I lick the downpour, a kitten held wet by nape, and I trust the boy to pour peroxide into the cavities on either side of my head. I remember the smell of a college boy metallic faucet drips the boy, shallow as an epithet, onto my stretched and pointed tongue. Really, when you're reading out loud, you should just pretend as though you didn't stumble over your words and repeat them. You should just do it. Just like keep going and finish the line. So, I'm teaching right now. So, okay, cool. When I meet my mother, she smells so strongly of woman, my mouth waters with brine. For an hour. I hate to begin anywhere with a man in a suit, but when a man in a suit with a voice nicer than other voices tells me by false candlelight that I am sad now but won't be, and then will be, and then won't be, I listen. He says sad is the loose and sore pull that blanches the walls of throats, and it's stupid, but I agree. And he buys me for some minutes, an hour. I figure I'd already lost. I tell myself in these exact words, I am here to give heat and breath and sponge sugar scales and affirmative feminine yeses and body, and it turns out I have plenty of each. In spite of myself, I find I have plenty of each. My eyes swell with sugar, a real honey child, and he wants to know about my skin, but he asks about being a little seal, a little wet seal, sleek and scalded, then peeled by spilled oil. And how does that feel now? When I leave alone into fresh snow, the spill pounds. This is called A Lament of the Things That Surprised Themselves. I open my eyes and a modern somewhere spits flame. My mother comes through her skin, and I wait beneath breath made holy, made sweetness. The sweetness is where it breaks, where it always breaks, into dented chest and ribs, small structures of surprise, when I thought I had matched these papers to another body. And think of my dad, his hands and knuckles as another's tears saturate the bills in my purse. I am determined to make a breath count backwards to reach itself. Its lush, naked self dry like a baby towel plush set and pale just like money curdles beneath skin cut at the base of an orchid. My eyes burn sour, and I am read only fables about pale-skinned girls born tiny from a billfold. On not remembering home. My mother cries when the pigs die, each one of them, and I know she's found another state of exhaustion to cling to, her fingers and apron purpled with blood, and I want to love her only as I ever can, and some days I do. Her voice is steam made mythic and wild, but is nothing more than a broken core, the briefest petal. I see it from the sky, I can see it from my sleep, and I can and will pinch glass and eat coins and try to use my belly to ground me. So I can know what to do when the woman who loves me shows me she's worried about the ways I am both kind and unkind as she lights a fire each night by the pond where I think I was born, where the pigs were born too, where they didn't get along and so they died clustered and alone. It is fitting for a few hairs to be lost, a few ears forgotten, then remembered at breakfast, all gingham and honey. What happened to those sacred shifts? Those loose lantern chains are followed by the scratches I am told that I and all other girls are born with. Oh, thank God, those lines were really long. Holy crap. And I had, Tessa brought me a water, which having a cup of water on a stage makes me feel really cool. It's a big aspiration of mine, has been to be on a stage with a cup of water. All right. How am I on time?
Great.
How much more?
Keep going.
More?
Well, yeah. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, cool. Sweet. Okay. Nightly wilt. It is not the kindness that makes this a density, but it is the kindness I think you might have as I add the numbers of your building, decide whether I want the smoke of your chest or the rust and salt of your hips when I always want both. I remove 2 scales from my fingertips and draw a dot of sap. I taste sour and could just as easily cry or seed or sleep. Somewhere close. I lean against a wall covered in paper. He leans me against a wall covered in paper. He says, I wish I could have met you when you were new and benzene coated, when you were the height of an unfinished breath. I am delicate and somewhere close. I am open leaves of skin, juicy and white. A kindness. Opt out of speaking for little bits of majesty, little fish. The dancing skeleton with a martini says, do not speak, little fish, just shake and squirm as though you have thighs to open or lips to thunder and smoke. The kind of lips that describe their place without shudder, the kind of lips that can choose from what belly to drink. I just touched that with my mouth. Ew. Okay. A wellness. My doctor since infancy peels back scales and feels my belly. He pushes the pulp wet organs littler than he'd like now, but intact, and I feel them push back, firm like frozen fruit against his fingertips. My mom sits in a pink chair, sharp fabric tears roped down reddened, whitened, then re-reddened cheeks. Puppies in golf bags eye us all from the wallpaper with the luxury of staring. They are darling amidst the clubs and sun and sanitizers. Far away, my brother is sorry, and my mother forgives me, and I can rest assured that the false is only stomach, but they're also sorry and tired, they say. In a moment, I almost believe there are ways to love while still nursing from a faucet. This one has a dumb title. A core of cold, you are aloe, sapped, wet petal, and broken glass unpeeled. Make your preservation known or create another state to exhaust and purchase your mother's apron, gingham flecked with berries. It's all blood made thin by time and an allergy to posture. You hold your middle, a cavern of closed-mouthed orchids and rootless purple breath. You hold in your middle the hush of a lung run dry. There's always the fear when you're writing your thesis that you're writing the same poem again and again and again, and that, oh jeez, this is a bad time to be thinking about this, for sure. Okay, sweet. Nightly hunger. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I watch you split your mass dissonance of throat into tenths. I watch you hang on a callus and a wire, it breaks raw every night. I watch your breath hover, a specter of thirst and sap. It shares just one sentence with my familiar mercy hunger, patterned by folds where oil still rises. You are what you've left, and that makes you an oily stagger of palm over our bed and its bleeding cries. For just a little less, our shared velamen are assigned to a certain kind of bearing it.